Good morning. So let's start. Where were we yesterday? Okay, so yesterday we did the record types. So with that, now we're going to go ahead and do the workflows and approval processes. So what do you mean by the workflows and what do you mean by the approval processes? So the workflows is nothing but, let's say you wanted to send an email to someone whenever a new position gets created, or like you want to do something automatically set up. Okay, let's say you want to do some automatic actions like sending an email, or we can say something like updating a particular field, um, or creating a task for someone. Creating a task means, let's say you are working, let's say your new position comes up and you wanted to send, or you wanted to assign a task to your recruiting manager to, hey, fill up this position, or some outbound messages. Now what do you mean by outbound messages? Outbound messages means that outbound messages means, let's say every Tuesday you wanted to send, there's an outbound message system, let's say there's an external system, and your Salesforce sends email to this external system, or like you wanted to send some records to the external system. So that is what a workflow is. Means if you wanted to do something automatic, then uh, that's what the workflow is. So only difference, and in approval processes also, you can send some automation, you can send some automatic messages, but the thing with the approval process is it needs an approval, whereas workflows does not need an approval. Okay, workflow does not need an approval. It is only the approval process that needs an approval, and based on the approval or rejection, the next comes in. For example, let's say you wanted a leave for 2 days, you don't need an approval. But if your leave amount is, let's say, greater than 20 days, then it needs an approval from your manager. So these are something called as the approval processes. And based on his approval, let's say if it's more than 30 days, then it needs an approval from your VP. So those are what we have as the approval processes in place. Okay, so now the workflows does not need an approval, whereas the approval process are the one which needs an approval from the people, and based on the approval, it can be one-step approval process, means only one approval is needed. It can be two-step approval process. Okay, I'll get the approval from this person, and then it needs the approval from the second person. For example, let's say your company came across a deal or an opportunity, and it needs to be signed by all the VPs of different departments. So then basically you can do something like that also through the approval process. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cover the approval process, workflows, and how we'll see how we can send an email through workflow, how we can update a particular field, how we can assign a task through the workflow, and how we can unbound the messages. First, send the outbound messages. The outbound messages we won't be able to do it in the class because it needs an external system and talk to you, but I'll just give you a quick glimpse of how does that work. Okay, so here what we have here is, sorry about it, I was mute, understanding the workflow. So what you have to do, you log in back, you go to your Salesforce account and you go to your recruiting application here and then go to the setup, and under the setup you have something called this one. I have a quick question guys with you. Does anyone has their own um Salesforce account like this one and has a recruiting app keep running successfully in it? Like, are you working on this app along with me? So far I've covered. Okay, so can you give me the username and password, Lata, if you don't mind? So here, can you send me the verification code? That's fine. And you haven't, did you do the record types? I don't want you to do the record types because that's the reason I'm using it, because with the record types sometimes it gets a little confusing. नहीं. Yeah, so can you send me the verification code? You probably would have got it at this email address. कोई बात नहीं. नहीं जा रहा वो, उससे भी कर लिया. उनको बोलो बाहर पिए. Priyanka, try to refresh it. Refresh your Gmail. Okay, so here you went ahead and you logged in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is, so this is our this is Priyanka's. So now we're going to go ahead and do the workflow and approval process. Okay, so we go to this one. This is called as the workflow rules. Now in the workflow rules, what is a workflow? So a workflow basically automates these types of action. So if you wanted to send an email, let's say you have seen so many times that whenever you place an order through Amazon, after you place the order, you get an email with your order confirmation, right? And after a couple of days, you get about like a shipping email that's saying that your order has been shipped. So there's not someone sitting there at Amazon and sending the hit button to send you an email, right? It's a customized email especially for you. So similarly, you have this workflow where you can do these automatic processes and you can do it based on some criteria. Let's say send an email after 2 days of the order placement. You can do those things as well. So these are the things that you can do. Like you can assign a task to a user or to a role or a record owner. Means let's say you got a new position in your company and you want to fill this position, you wanted to send an email to your recruiting manager to go ahead and send or create a task for him to fill it up. And then based on his progress, he can update his task that, okay, I'm in progress or I'm complete. And similarly here, you will get notification that, okay, this particular status is in this particular position has moved to this status. Then you can send email alerts not only to one person, but you can send to more than one people updating a particular field. Let's say if you know that, okay, the records that are created here will have a country by default of United States, you can do those field updates also. Outbound messages. Basically, this is the way to send an API message to a listener, means somebody, another system, or you can send those in any XML format. Now, for example, workflow can assign the follow-up task to, so these are the examples. To follow up tasks to support a representative 1 week after a class is updated. Means if you wanted to update someone, you can assign a task for that. You wanted to send sales manager management an email alert when a sales represent qualifies a large deal. So you can do these kind of things. Change the owner field on contract 3 days before it expires. So you need to change the owner field. Or you basically want to send an email once let's say their insurance policy is expiring or whatever it is. Trigger and outbound messages to the external HR system to initiate the reimbursement process for an approved expense report. So these are you want to send a message to external system and all that. So that's part of your outbound. Now, what does this workflow consist of? It consists of a criteria that workflow rule to run. Means, for example, you wanted to send an email for every time a new position gets created, or do you wanted to send an email every time a new position is created, or it's also edited? So that's the rule. Excuse me. That's the rule criteria. Now you can also have like time dependent and time independent rules as well. Means let's say you wanted to send an email 3 days before the policy is getting expired. So that is a time dependent rule. Or send an email after 24 hours of the creation of a record. Okay, so that's a time dependent again. And the time independent, those will be immediate. Okay, right away. Okay, they won't wait for anything, but they'll be right away. Time dependent actions are queued when a record matches the criteria and execute according to the triggers. For example, Salesforce can automatically send an email reminder to the account team if the high value opportunity is still open 10 days before the close date. So you can have a time dependent as well as independent one too. So go ahead, don't always read this one. Always the question is going to come from here. Continue. Configure your workflow rules. Now what we have, first thing we need to do is we need to create a criteria that cause the workflow rule to run. Means what is the criteria? Okay, all positions starting with S, that's the criteria. Okay, all positions whose maximum pay is greater than 200,000, that's a criteria. Do you want immediate actions? Immediate actions will execute when a record matches that criteria. Okay, for example, Salesforce can automatically send an email that notifies with a high value. That's a immediate action. Time dependent basically will be record will be put it into a queue, and based on the time trigger it will execute. Okay, and Salesforce can automatically send an email reminder 10 days before or end. So then we have go ahead and create a new rule here. So the first thing you need to answer is what is the object type. So if the object type is of, let's say, position or candidate, you go ahead and click here. So that is your, let's say, every time a new candidate gets created, I wanted to send an email. Okay, so let's say we pick up the candidate object. So for which the workflow rule you're creating for which object. It is not like in for all, but you can specify which object you want. So first thing is we'll go ahead and select the object type, hit the next button. Let's say you wanted to send an email for new candidate starting with S, let's say. Or let's say open date is there. Sorry, if you wanted to say open date is today's date, or you wanted to send an email starting today. So whatever it is. So this is our rule name. And let's say when you want this rule to be evaluated, first thing you have to see when this rule will be evaluated. Is it has to be evaluated every time the record is created, or you want it to be created and every time it is edited? Means if you make any changes to the candidate, do you still want to send him an email, or it is created and also meet a criteria? Okay, so this is the, you can pick up any one of these. Now run this rule if this criteria is met. So I'm going to go ahead and by default go here. The rule is evaluated when a record is created and when a record that does not meet the criteria is edited to meet the criteria. So this is basically, this is the time it's going to go ahead and evaluate this criteria. Okay, the criteria is, let's say, if the country that he belongs to is US, then send him an email. Okay. So what we have done is, what we have defined here is we picked up which object we wanted to create the evaluation or workflow rule, and what is the criteria and when that criteria should be evaluated. So the criteria is the country should be equals to US, and he should evaluate it, and if it meets this criteria, go ahead and hit the save and next. So this is our workflow rule has been created. Okay, now this is basically criteria is candidate equals United States, and when every time a record gets created and evaluated to meet this, this is the workflow rule. Okay, this rule will be evaluated at this time. Now here's what is the action do you want to take. So these are the 4 actions that you have: new task, new email alert, new field update, and new outbound messages. We'll try to look at all of 3. So let's say I wanted to send an email alert. So this is my action with it. Okay. So who is the recipient? Let's say you wanted to send an email alert. So here we're going to go ahead and say, oh, okay. Before doing, okay, I missed one thing. Before doing the email alerts, Salesforce has created an email templates for you. Okay, Salesforce has created email templates for you, and you can create, these are the by default Salesforce email template. Now let's say you wanted to create your own email templates. How you're going to do that? So we'll come back to the workflow again, but let me show you how to create email templates. Okay, so email templates are nothing but some templates, predefined templates that is already Salesforce has created. But let's say you wanted to customize and write your own email or whatever, then you have your email templates to go with. So first, to look for email templates, you say here email templates, go ahead and hit this one, and you create a new email template. So you go ahead and click the new. Okay, let me go back here and change this is my personal, you can put it in one of your personal folder, or here I'm going to put it in my public folder. Okay, and this is, hit the new template button. So I'll repeat, go to the setup here, and then you have the email templates here. So we're going to go ahead and click on email templates. This is the folder, and we're going to go ahead and create this new email template. So you can create these 4 different types of new text type: HTML using the letterhead, then custom without using letterhead, and Visualforce. Okay, so these are the Visualforce. You need to know the Visualforce language, which is out of the scope. Otherwise you have these 3. I'll show you how to create very easy. So let's say we will start with the text. Okay, so this is a simple text email template, and go ahead and hit the next button. Sure, Madhu. Okay, so I was telling you about the email templates. Now what is we have done? So this is the first email template I'm creating, a text email template. Now let's say you wanted to have, so this is it's in the public folder. Available for use should always be clicked, because if you want this email template to be available outside, then you have this one to make this checkbox. What is the name of the template? We can say welcome message for recruiting candidate. Okay. Now, next thing is the subject of that. So you can say welcome Okay, so now let's say you wanted to say, hey, just whatever you want to write it. Thank you for choosing us. We will send you the details. Okay, have a nice day. This is the message I wanted to send. Okay, let's say you wanted to customize it with, hey, hi, Deepika Khanna. So what you can do here is you can pick up that first name and last name as well of the candidate to whom you're sending the email. So what you can do, those are called as a merge field. So from here we can say from the candidate object, okay, the field that I want is the first name. So what you're going to go ahead and do here is we'll go ahead and pick the first name from here. Okay, so these are the merge fields. So if you wanted to have a customized email with, say, hi and then the candidate first name and last name, you can go ahead and copy this code here and put it here. So basically this particular field will get replaced with the first name. Now if you want last name as well, you can go ahead and grab the last name and copy this code here and put it here with the space. So let's say if you wanted to put a space here, you can go ahead and put a space here and then put the last name. Okay, and if you wanted to see if you wanted to have your username as well, like the person who is from whom the email is getting generated, so that's basically nothing but the what you call as the user information, the person who is logged in. So if you want to do that, you can go ahead and search the user field. So you can look for the user object here, and then you will see all the fields related to him. So the field, let's say I wanted his first name, so you go ahead and say first name of the user, you grab the code here, and then below the thank you put a comma here, and then we can say his first name. So this is also possible. So this is basically, I've written a text email. You can test it now. So this particular email template that I've created, it's a text email template. It means it's not HTML, it's just simple plain text. But and the most important thing is you have to make this checkbox available to use, and then you have, this is the name of the template, and then what you have is basically the subject, and then you have created this message. So anytime, whenever, so we have just created an email template, and we can use this email template somewhere else now. Okay, so let me just also make it as just to remember, it's a text email template. So I'm going to go ahead and say text here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and save this one just to make sure that I know which one is HTML and which one is text for myself. So now this is my text email template, and if you wanted to send it, right now if you want to send it, you can basically go ahead and test here. You can provide your email address. Here you can say send email preview, or what we can do here is, let me go ahead and these are the leads here. Let me go ahead and go to one of the leads. So let's just go ahead and replace this with our email address. Okay, everything else will be same. Oh my god, I just changed everything. That's fine. Go ahead and hit the save button. So here I can, if I'm testing it right, so what I can do is you go ahead and click here, contact a lead, this one, let's say, and also will send it to her. So this says message has been sent. I don't know why is it taking forever. So here we have this one. So let me go ahead and let me just send it here. If not, that's fine too. So this is just a template you have created, and all these names will get replaced by your candidate first name and last name. Okay, now next thing that we have is, there was another type of email template. Any question on creating this email template, the text one? It's very simple. Madhu and didn't I walk through each of the standard objects before? Like to multiple people? So, so this was Madhu. This was just a kind of an email template that you need to send just to test, and we can make sure that we can do that in the workflow rule where we can send to a group of people. Okay, and we can do that, but this was just to test your rule. This is just to test your email template, and we didn't got an email for some reason, and I have no idea why. We're supposed to get it. And lead is nothing but someone who is interested to join your, is interested to buy a product but has not bought the product. That's a lead is. And what I did was I just went ahead and clicked on one of the lead and just replaced his name with my email address. That's what I did. Okay. So Salesforce has already created some tasks for you for these for your leads, etc. But that was just what I did, was just wanted to test something, so that because with the email address he won't have the first name and last name, right? So those values will not get replaced. So what I did here was I just changed that to the I just changed it to my own email address, so that I get an email but they use the first name and last name from here. That's what I did. Okay, so this was your text email template. The other type of email templates that you can create, and I put this email template in the undefined public folder, okay, so that it's available for use whenever I need it. So you go here and you say, now you create another template in the same unfilled public email template folder. Create a new. If you want to create your own folder, you can do it. Now there is one with the using the letterhead, and there's a custom without using the letterhead. Now letterhead, as you know, is just your company information on the top or the bottom, or you can add it on the footer, and you can add it on the header as well. So similarly, what we're going to do here is we will first add a letterhead. Okay, so how to create a letterhead? You just go ahead and search here for letterheads. You can add your own letterhead here. You can create a logo, everything you can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and create my own letterhead. So we'll go ahead and say new letterhead here, available for use, recruiting letterhead. Okay, so this is the recruiting company's letterhead. Go ahead and say recruiting, and then we have go ahead and hit the save button. Now this is my first recruiting letterhead that I have, and in this you can change the background color, you can add a logo, you can whatever you want to do it. Let's say I wanted to have a logo here. So first thing is I'm going to go ahead and search a logo, but the problem is the logo should be present in this folder to use that logo. Okay, did we do that? Did we updated the logo or change something on the logo? Did I show you how to do that? If you wanted to change your, okay, so let's just do it one more time so we know. So this letterhead looks a little more cleaner. So I'm still kind of worried, why didn't we get an email? This happened with me in one of the class where I was trying to send an email and I was not able to do it for some reason, but I don't know what's going on, because we have kind of done it twice. So let's just try. I hope the workflow email comes. So here I'm going to go ahead and go to my login.salesforce. Go up here and go to the documents here. So create a new document, recruiting logo, and then indicate externally available, putting in the personal documents. The file that I have is, let's say, okay, this is the logo, and so I've uploaded this logo, hit the save button. Okay, so this is the logo that I'm going to go ahead and upload. Okay, and then you can go ahead and use this logo in one of your thing. So I'll go back here and I will select the logo. So I'll go ahead and select the logo here. So this is my logo. This is the logo that I'm going to use, and I'm also going to put it in the bottom as well. So in the header and footer, both, they're going to have it. Okay, if you wanted to change the body color or whatever, you can do it. If you want to change the header properties, you can do it. Background color, if you want to pick it up, you can pick it up whichever you want here. So this is, let's say, is the background color. Hit the OK button. So it looks something like this. Okay, and body colors, if you want to do it in the inside of that, you can always change it. So this is going to be the body colors. So then here the message would be, let's just leave it as it is, make it just simple plain, and click OK. So this is going to be, so this is what you can have. You've created your own letterhead, and then you can go ahead and hit the save. If you want to preview it, you can always hit the preview button and you'll get an idea of what it will look like. Okay, so this is what it will gonna go ahead and look like. Your message will be somewhere here, and this is going to be your logo on the top and on the right hand side as well. And if you want to change anything here, you can always go ahead and change the properties. Height is, if you want only 50 pixels, you can go ahead and change it to 50 as well. Go ahead and hit the OK button, and if you want to preview it, let me just go ahead and so here, if you go back here, edit the so this is our logo here. So we have went ahead and added this logo. Now you can use this letterhead in any of your email template as well. So it will use this letterhead, and you can write your email whatever you want to show it. So we can, now this is our email template. Now if you go back to the email templates here, now we can create a new email template. Go ahead and create the new email template, and this time I'm going to use the HTML with the letterhead. Everything else will be same. You can add your merge fields, you can do all that kind of stuff. Okay, so available for the use, and the email template name we can say is the HTML email with the letterhead. Okay, so this is the letterhead, and I'm going to say for my recruiting application. And letterhead is there, so you go ahead and select the letterhead. If you want to, like, if you want a formal layout or a free form, whatever you want to do it, you can do it. If let's say it's a formal letter, you can go ahead and select that one also. Means you wanted to make it a little formal, go ahead and hit the next button. Okay, next one you have is this one with the same thing. What is the subject of the email? We can say hello, how are you? You can enter the contents here if you want, so you can go ahead and enter the contents here. Let me just get some. I'm just going to copy some junk text. Okay, so here this is going to be the message. You can go ahead and enter the contents here, and if you want to do a thank you or whatever, you can go ahead and say thank you. If you want like these similar to those merge fields, you can go ahead and say hi, and then you can go ahead and grab those fields here. So you can go ahead and say contact candidate fields. Let's say you want the first name of the candidate and the last name. Similarly, we have done it. Just copy the code, and then you'll say candidate first name, and here we can say dear. And then if you want the last name, you go ahead and grab the last name from here, put it here, and have a comma. Okay, so this is your next email template. Go ahead and hit the next button here. And just have to write it here too. So we go ahead and let me just leave it as blank and see what happens. Okay, so this is going to be the message that we're going to go ahead and die. If there was an HTML code, you could have put it here and it would have automatically converted that HTML when you were sending the email. Okay, and this is what we have done. And if you want to verify it, let me just go ahead and see if this works. Send email to okay, let me send it to you, Prem. Let's see if you get an email because mine is not working still. Okay, let me know, Lata, if you got an email. Okay, and if you got, send me the copy so I can share with everyone. Available for use has to be checked. Did you got an email? I don't know what's wrong here. That's why it took so long to send you the verification code as well. Let's just do setup, administration, setup, email administration. Test deliverability. Did you got an email? See, all access, this is also right. Let me go ahead, log out and log in back again. This should have worked. I don't know what's wrong with Salesforce today. Does anyone has their own Salesforce account besides Prem, Lata, Madhu, or Amit? Do you have a Salesforce account? You don't have to give me the details. Just test this if something is working here with the emails. Well, let me just log out and log in back again as myself. Okay, let's go back here. Go to the email templates. Let me see. Let me just create one more and see if that works. Okay. See, I got it. So there's something wrong with the Lata's thing. I don't know why, but something messed up there. Okay, so I got an email. So we can do the same exact thing that we did here. So let's go ahead and create a new email template. This time I'm going to use the text email template. And here we'll say available. Okay. Text email template. The recruiting one. Okay, and then welcome email, and we can say here there's the image. Let's just copy some junk. Okay, and if you wanted to go ahead and display something, you can just go ahead and say dear, and then you can get the candidate fields here. So we'll just go ahead and grab the first name and the last name. So it's available for use, and then this is your email. And if you want to verify it, just do it again one more time here, click OK. So you probably will get another email and will say welcome, and then this one. And then it does not show you the candidate first name because those fields are empty right now. Okay, so that's why I did not do the. Prem, Lata, did you still get an email or you didn't? Okay, try to log out and log in. You can do it afterwards. So it happened with me once, and I think it automatically fixed, or I don't know if I have to change the whole account or something. I'm not sure about that. So here we can say this is my email template. Similarly, we have, let's go ahead and create a letterhead too. And in the letterhead, I hope we have this is the letterhead, and let's just go ahead and create our new letterhead. Go to the next one. New letterhead, available for use, recruiting letterhead, and then just go ahead and hit the save button. Here you can go ahead and add the logo. This is the logo, I can add it. And I can add it even below here too. So this is my logo. Preview it. It looks something like this. Okay, so on the left hand side, header properties, let's just write here. And then if you want to change the color, you can go ahead and change the background color. If you want to change the body color, you can do it. So we can say go ahead and do it like this, click OK. So this is going to be the body color, and then you can go ahead, if you want to preview it, you can go ahead and preview it. So this is going to be your e-message, and then you can go ahead and save it. This is the letterhead you have created. Now we can use this letterhead in our email templates. So we can go ahead and create a new email template, and this time we will be using the HTML with the letterhead. Okay, so this is there. So in the HTML you can add the HTML code. Okay, like it's HTML is a hypertext markup language, the browser's language, right? Hopefully everyone know about it. So if you wanted to name it as, you can say HTML with the letterhead example of recruiting, and then what is the name of the letterhead? This one. It's a free form letter. Go ahead and hit the next button. Okay, if you wanted to, if you have an HTML letter or HTML code, you can just go ahead and paste it here. Okay, or if you don't, then you can just get some contents from here. Let me just go ahead and grab some junk and then just add it here, and just get rid of this. If you want to say something like dear, grab the names, you can grab it. If you want to spell candidate first name, last name, similarly like we did earlier, so you can grab this one, put it here, last name, thank you, and you can go ahead and say username here from here, so you can go ahead and say get the user fields, grab the first name of the user, copy the code and put it here. Okay, so this is going to be your thing, and now what we're going to do next is we're just going to go ahead and hit the next button. Now if you have any content, subject is okay, and then hit the next button. If you have any code, you can put it. If you don't, that's fine too. Hit the save button. Now this is going to be your one with the letterhead. Okay, now if you want to test it, you can go ahead and very welcome to test this message as well. Go ahead and hit the OK button here, and now you can use this one, and this is going to be your message. If you wanted to see display images, so if you just click on here, you'll get the whole message. Any questions on how we've done it kind of twice? So probably it should be crystal clear. Let me know if you want to repeat anything. Okay. Okay, so the next thing is we have created the email templates. Now we have two email templates. Now the next thing is the custom email template is the same, just the same without the letterhead, so you can add the HTML as well as text into it. Now let's go ahead and create the workflow. Okay, so to create the workflow, right, what we can say, we have to go to the workflow rules here. We've already gone through what is a workflow, how we can do. Then we're going to go ahead and create a new workflow rule here. The rule says on the candidate object, so I'm going to go ahead and select the candidate from here, hit the next button, and here I can say welcome message for the candidate. Okay, so this is my, for the candidate here. What is the criteria? Criteria is if the candidate country is equals to United States, then we are going to go ahead and do something about it. Okay, so if this is equals to US, and then we're going to go ahead and hit save and next here. What is the action? The action that I wanted to send is, let's say, new email alert. So you can go ahead and send the new email alert here, and you can say email for the new candidate. Okay, template, I can use the HTML with the letterhead, or if you have any other ones, you can go ahead and use that one. Also the text email template, if you have, let's say I want to use the HTML with the letterhead. Okay, so this is the one that I wanted to use. And then if you wanted to go ahead and get the email, let's say you wanted to send email of the candidate. Okay, so whatever the candidate, whenever you're creating a candidate, you have a value for the if you provide the value to that email address, automatically to that person the email will be sent. Okay, so that's why if you wanted to send an email to the candidate who just got added into our system, then what I did is I picked up the email field drop down from the drop down, and so basically it will send it to that particular email address. And if you have an additional people you want to send it to, let's say can you all give me your email IDs? Okay, and this one, and the from email address will be current one. If you wanted to have other people's, guys, Madhu and Amit, can you send me your email ID? So just you will also get a copy here. I think Madhu, I have it already. I think this is his. Amit, I'm not sure. Amit can, okay, Amit is here as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and send everyone a copy, and you can have up to 5 email addresses here, and then go ahead and hit the save button. Okay, so now I have email a workflow rule created, and this is my workflow action. So what do you want to do with that? That is my workflow action, and I wanted to send an email if the candidate country equals the United States. So this is what I wanted to do. So now if I go ahead and if I go to the candidate and create a new candidate where this criteria meets, so I'm going to go ahead here, and if I go ahead and create a new candidate, so if let's say, and the candidate name is Usha probably, and our rule criteria is what? Rule criteria is the country should be equals to US. Okay, and the email address will be the one for to which this email will be sent. Okay, so let's say I'm going to pick up this email address. So to this particular email address, that email will be sent, and then you will go ahead and hit the save button. So now what will happen is you will get an email first of all, and all 3 of you will also get an email, because let's just see. So one will be to this address, and then whoever is listed on the other one. So that's because our criteria was country United States. That's when I wanted to send an email. Okay, so this is country equals to US, and all this is my first name, the last name, etc. and then the email will be sent to this particular person. Okay, every time the workflow gets created, let's just verify it if everything looks good. Oh, I think what I didn't do is I haven't enabled the workflow, looks like. That's why. You have to activate it. Okay, this is a very important thing. You need to activate this workflow rule. Now it is active. Now if you go back here, you create a new one. Okay, country is US. This is the criteria. If it meets, then only it will send the email. Okay. So now this is the candidate. A new candidate is created. You probably have got an email. We are pleased to have you on board. And this is a dear Nisha Gupta. If you show the images, this is the logo. This is what we are using. Dear Nisha Gupta, if your service based, this is the one. And you probably would have gotten, guys. Did you got an email, Madhu and Amit? Okay, so this is the copy of the email. Everyone has got it. Okay, so this is now if in this case, if the candidate information is like country does not is equals to United States or something else, then you are not going to get the email because the criteria does not meet. Okay, so if I wanted to say and here if I say Karnataka and country is instead of United States, if I say India here, let's say this criteria does not meet, so it should not send you any email address. So if I go ahead and hit the save button, this time I won't get any email because the criteria does not meet. So that is kind of creating a workflow rule, basically sending an email alert. Did you guys got an email? No. Not. Okay, you haven't received it, looks like. Even I haven't received anything. But if I go back here and I change this to US and I hit the save button, because since my rule criteria was it's created and every time it's edited to meet that, that's when I'm going to go ahead and get the email address. So then I should be able to get it. Okay, so this is what the workflow email looks like. So if I go back here and I got an email again because now my country is equals to United States. This is US. That's why I got an email. Any questions? Who's this person? That's not me. Any questions? Okay. I hope Madhu is okay because he's going back and forth for some reason. Oh, he's okay. Okay, so next thing we have here is we're going to go ahead and see, this is my workflow rule that I've created. Other thing that you can do with the workflow is assigning a task for someone, or another one we have for the workflow was updating a particular field. So let's say by default, let's say you have an SSN number and every time a new records get created, you wanted to update this SSN field. You can always do that. Okay, how? We'll go back here and see that one as well. So this is, so you know how to create an email template, you know how to add the letterhead to the email template, and you've also seen how to set up the automatic email alert based on a criteria. Okay, next thing we're going to go ahead and create a workflow rule where we are going to update a particular field. Hopefully today I will be able to cover all the workflow stuff. I was thinking of finishing up the approval process, but I don't think so we'll be able to do that. So we have the workflow rules here. Click the continue button, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new workflow rule. Make sure it is active, otherwise even if you have created it, it's not going to make any difference. Okay, the object that I'm going to pick up is the candidate object. Go ahead and hit the next button here, or let's say if I go ahead and update the position here. Okay, so if I go up here, let's just do the candidate. Hit the next button. Rule name is update the SSN field. Okay, this is what I want to do, update the SSN field. Let's say you know the opportunity amount, or by default you have something in some default values that you wanted to update it. You can always do that. Okay, what is the criteria? If the criteria is, let's say, if the country is equals to United States, there is an SSN number, right? So we can go ahead and say equals and you can say US here. So if every time the candidate you're creating belongs to US, then you're going to go ahead and update the SSN number. Okay, so go ahead and do save and next. So this is my rule. This is my rule that, okay, the criteria is if the country equals the United States, what do you want to do now? What is the action do you want to do? So the action that I want to do it, we have already seen the email alert. Now we wanted to see the field updates. Now I'm going to do a field update. Which field do you want to update? The field that I wanted to update is SSN. Okay. Let's say you can basically have update the SSN. So if, let's say, you wanted to reevaluate the workflow rule after the field change, let's say you changed it. Let's say your country got changed. Do you want to reevaluate it? Yes, you wanted to reevaluate it. Okay. What is the value that you wanted to put? So let's say you wanted to set up a fixed value. You can go ahead and provide that value. Let's say you wanted to have 121 555 YYY. Okay. This is the value that I wanted to go ahead and update my SSN to if my oh, it was number probably, that's why. Oh, it's text. Okay, that's why. If, yeah. So it's going to update the field with that particular thing and hit the done button here, and now you need to activate it. Okay. So now you have two things here. One is you have the workflow rule. It'll send you an email on the same criteria. It'll send you an email, and the next thing it's also going to update the field. Okay. So now what we have here is if you go back here to the candidates and you create a new candidate, okay, and you provide the candidate name as you're not providing the SSN, okay, email address is whatever you want to give it, and hit country is US, then only that particular criteria will meet, and then only it'll update the field. So now if you hit the save button, automatically this particular field got updated. Okay, automatically this particular field got updated. So this is going to be, this is seeing adding a field update. Okay, automatically this particular SSN field got updated if the country was United States. If the country was not United States, okay, if the country was not United States, or let me go ahead and create a new record here, and this time let's say the country, let's say I say Preeti Zinta, okay, and since let's say first time the country is not United States, what will happen is that field will not get updated, right? So if I go ahead here, if the field will not get updated, which field? The SSN didn't got updated. Now since I clicked on the checkbox, if I change this to US, in this case you're going to go ahead and hit the save button, and in this case it got evaluated. Are you getting it? But now if you go ahead and remove it and say something else, that particular value will not get deleted. It'll still be there. So if anytime it meets the criteria, it'll go ahead and update this field. And if you go ahead and edit it again and change it back to something else, then it's not going to go ahead and delete whatever the value got updated. Okay. Are you getting my point here? So this is nothing but, okay, do you want me to do how to do a field update? Okay, no worries. So you go to the setup here, like see this is, so we have already seen how to set up an email alert using a workflow. Okay, now we are going to see how we can update a particular field here. So what I did was I created a workflow here. Okay, and in my workflow I went ahead and created a workflow rule. Go ahead and scroll down, hit the continue button, and then we go ahead and set up the new rule here, let's say, and let's say this time I pick a different object, and let's say by default I wanted to set up the maximum pay. Okay, so this is my position object. Go ahead and hit the next button. The rule name is update the max pay. Okay, this is my rule. And what is the criteria is, let's say, if the max pay is empty, okay, is equals to empty, that's when I want to update it. Okay, if somebody has not provided the max pay, then go ahead and update it. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit the save and next button here. If the max pay equals null, then go ahead and run this action or do this action. What is the action? Excuse me. The action is I wanted to do a field update. So you go ahead and hit the field update here, and then what is the field you wanted to update? I wanted to, let's say, update the I wanted to go ahead and update the maximum pay here. Okay, so now this is what my field update is going to be. Update the maximum pay. Okay, so now what you have done is you have updated the maximum pay here. Field to update is nothing but the maximum pay. You want to update it. What is the value do you want to update it? Reevaluate after the rule changes. Let's say the value I wanted to update is 500,000. Okay, this is the maximum. Okay, go ahead and hit the save. Okay, so now and then I'm going to go ahead and hit the done button and activate this one. So now this particular rule got activated. Now if I go ahead and create a new position, okay, go ahead and continue, and the position title is, let's say, Salesforce '21. Okay, maximum pay is empty. Let's see if this works. Go ahead and hit the save button. Okay, automatically it got updated because the maximum pay was empty. That's why it got updated. Got it, Lata? Okay, now if the maximum pay is not empty, means if there is a value, then it will not go ahead and update the field. Okay, so if I say Salesforce admin, okay, update is 24, and I'm providing some value here. Now in this case, it's not gonna change it, okay, because the value is already there. So this is what we have as the uh, updating a particular field. Any question here? Okay, the last one that we have in the email alert, sorry, the another one that we can do through the workflow is assign someone a task. Okay, let's say whenever a new position gets created in my company, okay, whenever a new application comes up or whatever it is, okay, whenever a new position gets created, I want to assign the task to Will Smith, okay, and he should work on that task. Okay, that's what I want to do it right now. Whenever a new position comes up, I wanted to assign him a task. Okay, but before that, what I'm going to do is, I don't know if the OWD is still public or private. Let me go ahead and make it public. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say the security settings. Let's just see what is the OWD for position object. It is private. Let me go ahead and change it to public read and write with the save button. Okay, so now we have this one. Now let's go back and go to our workflow rule. Now the new rule is I wanted to go ahead and assign the task. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is if I go up here, none, and then if I go back to my object, let's say is position object. Okay, every time a new position gets created, whose maximum or whatever it is, okay, position assign a task for Will Smith. Okay, and what is the criteria here? The criteria is, let's say, if it's an IT position, okay, functional area equals the IT, information technology. If that equals the IT, go ahead and hit it. So this is my criteria. Go ahead and hit the save and next button. What do you want to do now? If this criteria meets, okay, this is the action that I want to take, which is assigning a new task. Okay, now what is the task? Whom should I assign it to? Let's say I wanted to assign it to Will Smith. So you go ahead and assign the task to Will Smith. Subject is please fill this position. Okay, due date is going to be equal to, let's say, whatever the open date is, and I'm going to give you 10 days to fill that position. Okay, and then what will be the status? It will be, let's say, in progress or whatever, not started still, and then go ahead and hit the save button here. Okay, so what will happen is if this criteria meets, then Will Smith will get a task to work on, and he needs to fill up this position. He might also get an email, and then we're going to do it done, and then we're going to activate this workflow. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new position. Okay, the in functional area will be IT, information technology, and I'm going to say the sales Java developer position, let's say, and the open date is 23. So this is going to 10 days after 23, that will be the due date, and hit the save button. Okay, so now if you look down, these are the activity that got created, and it tells you that, okay, this particular person needs to work assign, and he has to work on this position. There is a task has been created for him. The status is this day, due date is 7/3 because it's a 6/23. He got 10 dates, that's going to be around 7/3. Okay, so now now what will happen is now Will Smith should also get an email and saying, okay, to Will Smith, this is the task he needs to work on, and he can take a look at that whole thing here. Okay, now if I go back to log out and log in back again as Will Smith will know that, okay, I have something to work on. Okay, and how he will know? He will know if he comes back to this home page, and if you look at his tasks, and if he say all this month's task, or let's say, then he will get the, not this month, okay, so he got this task here. So he knows when he comes to his home page, he has an idea that, okay, this is the one that I need to work on. Java developer position, this is the task that I have to work on. And then you can click on this. He can assign this task, or he can update the task. He can change it to in progress status, or whatever he wants to do it. Okay, and then you can go ahead and hit the save. And this time what will happen is he will be knowing that, okay, this person has already started working on it. Okay, so this is what we have, is assigning a task for someone. Okay, so now what will happen is, what you did was, we said that anytime a position gets created which belongs to information technology, I want Will Smith to work on it. Okay, so this is what the task that we have done. So what we did was, if you go back here, log out here, and then if I log in back again, what I did was I went to my workflow rule and I set up a workflow rule, but then the action that I did was I went ahead and say assign the task. Okay, so anytime the particular rule criteria meets, a task will get assigned to Will Smith if the position is equals to information technology is the functional area. Okay, are you following? Any questions? Amit? Amit, do you want me to repeat anything? Is he here? Okay, Good. Next thing we have, the last thing, we were not able to do it, probably just want to give you a quick outbound message. So here, this is one of the outbound message you can do. Not this one. Workflow. Basically, you need to give which external system you want to do it and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And was one more thing, guys, there was also, if you wanted to send a time dependent workflow rules, you can go ahead and do this one also. So if I go ahead and do action, and if you wanted to set up a so this is, you cannot do it. So this also, remember, you cannot add new time triggers to an active rule. So you have to first deactivate this rule, and then you have to go ahead and add the time trigger. And I'll tell you how. So if you go back to a workflow rule, let's say you wanted to send, now let's say so let's say you wanted to send you wanted to send an email to Will Smith, and if the position is still open, okay, if the position status is still open, you need to send him email 3 days before that, okay, and tell him, hey guy, you need to hurry up and try to fill this position as soon as you can. So that is the time dependent, 3 days before the due date, okay, that is what the that's what your rule is, okay, 3 days before the due date, or 7 days after the open date, or whatever it is, okay. So you can do it here. You go ahead and click continue button, okay, and you can say I wanted to add a time dependent or rule. So let's say the object that I have that I wanted to create the rule for is the position object. Hit the next button here, and then the rule name is, let's say, position reminder email, okay, reminder email for the task. What is the criteria? Let's say it's the same functional area equals to or information technology. This is what you have, and go ahead and hit the save and next button here, and you wanted to add the time trigger. Okay, so this is what you want to do. What is the time trigger you want to do it? You wanted to do it, let's say, the close date or open date of the position, or let's say 7 days after the position open date. Okay, and what you want to do here is, so this is a time dependent workflow action. This is what you want to do. Okay, so what you want to do, so 7 days after the position open date, this is the action do you want to do. Do you want to send an email alert? Do you want to create a task? Or do you want to do what? So you can go ahead and assign it here. You won't be able, everything else is same. Email that you want to send it to, let's say Salman Khan, whoever you wanted to pick it up, and let's say a reminder email. Okay, and then what is the template you want to send it? You can create your own template, and you can use that template here, and if you have additional email addresses, you can provide here, but you will not be able to see it because this is not going to be like, it's not an immediate, right? So you have to wait for another 6-7 days to get this email. Okay, so that's what the time dependent one. Okay, so now this is what we have is the time dependent rule. Any questions on adding the time dependent one? So we have one is immediate, right away it will happen if the criteria meets, everything goes smooth. The time dependent one is going to happen after a couple days or based on some trigger. That's what the time dependent is for. Any questions? Okay, next one we have is, if you go back to the workflow, there was this outbound message, this last thing, and this is going to be the new outbound message. It does not, I won't be able to tell you everything about it, but what is the purpose of the outbound messages? Let's say, guys, you have leads generating up in your system. Okay, every day you have people coming, and people coming to your website, and you have lead generation going on. And let's say you wanted to send an email, you wanted to transfer those leads or move those leads or copy those leads to another external system, and then they can do it. So then you can decide on what is the URL that you have to send it. So you will provide that URL up here. What are the fields that you want to send? Okay, so let's say his first name I want to send. I don't want to, let's say there are 10, 15 fields are there on that particular object, and I don't want to send all those fields for every lead. What I want to do is I just want to send the first name, last name, and the email address to the external system. So and this is the positions that are the fields that you want to send it to. Okay, these are which fields you want to send, because since we are working on the position object, it is sending you the position, it's showing you the position fields. Okay, if the rule was on candidate, then the candidate fields would have been shown. This is the endpoint URL, and the outbound message, enter the details of your outbound message and select the fields you want them to include in the message. Note that the fields available depend on the type of the record previously selected. Means what kind of object did you select it? Based on that, the fields are shown up. You should know the endpoint URL that you want to send it, means external system to whom you wanted to send this data, and then which fields or which information do you want to send it. You provide it here. That is what the outbound message is for. Any questions? So what we did here is today we talked about the email templates, means what are the email templates, and how to send an email template, how to create an email template, and then we talked about the workflows. Workflow, we can do 4 different things with the workflow. We can send an email alert, we can create a particular task, we can update a particular field, and we can send an outbound message. So this was what the workflow here. Now, one thing to be noted in the workflow is you do not have in need somebody's approval. It does not need any human interaction. It does not need an approval. So based on certain criteria, then what will happen is that particular thing will flow, or that particular automatic message will be thrown. The only difference between a workflow and an approval process is that in the workflow, so, and the only important thing in the workflow and the approval process is, let's say in the approval process, guys, you need an approval. And based on you got an approval or you got rejection, the next step will be taken. Okay, so the workflow does not need any human interaction, whereas the approval process needs a human interaction. Somebody needs to approve it, somebody needs to reject it. Okay, approval process, guys, you can have a multi-step approval process, which means, let's say if the position maximum pay was 125,000, it needs an approval from the manager. Let's say if the position that you're trying to create is more than 200,000, then it also needs an approval from the senior manager and the VP, let's say. So that is what the approval process is. So first time, if the position was, let's say the first time you're starting the position was $250,000, so firstly it needs an approval from the manager. Okay, if manager rejects it altogether, that position gets rejected. Okay, that's all, it won't go to the next step. But if the position salary was 100 and 200,000, 250,000, 250,000, then what will happen is it will first get needs an approval from the manager. So if the manager approves it, okay, if the manager approves it, then it will go to the senior manager because the maximum pay was more than 200,000. Okay, so in the approval process, what we have here is we can have a 1-step or a 2-step approval process. Okay, so in the approval process, there are a couple things you need to note. So first thing is, in the approval process, you need an approval, or somebody needs to approve it, or somebody needs to reject it. That's what there is there in the approval process. Then it can be a multi-step, means it can need the approval from couple people based on some criteria. Then there is something called as entry criteria, which is very important. What is this entry criteria? Let's say, guys, you have defined an approval process and said that any salary, if somebody's maximum pay is greater than 150,000, it needs an approval from so and so person. Okay, now what is the entry now? So if somebody is created a position for 60,000, it needs an approval if it is greater than 150. Okay, it needs an approval if it is greater than 150. Right now you're creating a position for $60,000. Now what will happen is, entry criteria is basically which records will even go for the approval process. Means you can, so let's say not every record is going to go through the approval process. Okay, you can say that any records which are greater than 100,000 will only go through the approval process. Means anything before that will automatically will go through the approval process. It will automatically will be whatever it is approved. It won't even go through the approval process. But only the records which are greater than 100,000 will go through the approval process, and the records which are greater than 150,000 will need an approval. The rest of them will automatically will be approved. Okay, and another thing to be noted here is whenever a record goes through the approval process, okay, there is a button that you need to click submit for approval. Every time what will happen is once the approval process has been defined for that particular object, there will be a submit for approval button after you have created a record, and based on the entry criteria and everything, either it will go to the approved status, either it does not need an approval, or it will automatically will be approved, or whatever it is. Okay, every time a particular record gets into the approval process, that record is going to get locked. Means no one will be able to make any further changes once that particular record has been submitted for the approval. Okay, these all things were not there in case of workflows. There was no record locking, nothing was there. Does not have a human, there was no entry criteria or whatever. Here you have an entry criteria which defines which all records will even go through the approval process. Okay, which all records will go through the approval process. Okay, and then you might have one step or a two step. The record will get locked if that if that approval process was rejected, or if that particular thing got rejected, then the record will go to back to unlocked status, because somebody will be able to make changes and resubmit it again. If that thing got approved, then automatically it will remain locked and will be approved. Let's say if you have an opportunity, right? If there was an opportunity, or if there was your company cracked a deal and it needs to go through the approval from all the VPs, and once it has been approved, you don't want to make changes to that, right? Because if you make changes, you have to go back and submit it again for approval. Once it is approved, that's logged. Okay, but if it got rejected, it will come back and you'll make the changes and resubmit again. Are you following? Are you following, guys? Lata, Madhu? Okay, so now today I'll just give you a quick overview. Tomorrow we'll do the approval process. So here in the approval process, let's just go through the whole definition of it so you get an idea. Okay, so first thing is you need to specify there are two ways of creating an approval process. One is the faster way, and the other one is there's called a standard wizard, and there's a jump start wizard. In the jump start wizard, that is more like you basically are not answering all the questions, you're kind of fast forwarding it. And the standard wizard, you need to go through it step by step. There are 4-5 page document, 4-5 pages action that you need to take when you're using a standard. And the standard one is a better one rather than the jumpstart. Jumpstart is okay for just going a quick glimpse of it. Okay, first thing you need to pick up is the for which object you're creating that particular approval process. Okay, now what are approval process? Approvals are the complex business processes that require the information gathering and planning before implementing. It is recommended that you follow the instructions. Okay, so this is okay. So in the approval process, guys, you can also, as the right automation tool for your business process, it will need somebody's approval. Prepare to create an approval process. So whatever you want to do it, and after, let's say, it got approved, you can add workflow actions to it. Let's say if this position got approved, send an email to everyone. If this position got approved, say update this particular field or assign a task or whatever. You can always go ahead and do those kind of thing here. Okay, so that is what the whole, that is what we have here. Guys, please go through this delegated approver and all these kind of things. They're very important, and a lot of times the questions come from this topic as well. Okay, like who is a, now there might be a scenario, guys, where you have a particular position and you need an approval. There might be a scenario like, do you need an approval from, let's say, all 4 VPs of the company, or do you want, if first response is fine, means anonymous, that we can say. Basically what it is, let's say your company got a deal, and you might have an approval process saying, okay, this particular deal needs to be approved from these 5 people. You can do that. Then what will happen is, until or unless it got approved from all the 5 VPs, that thing will still be in the rejected. If one of the person has rejected it, it will become rejected. You can also say something like, approval process, this particular deal needs to get approved from the 5 people, but if the first response comes, and based on first response, the position will get approved or rejected. So that is what the anonymous is for. Okay, the next thing is, you have to activate the approval process. If you have created approval process but you have not activated it, it's not going to come into picture. Okay, so you need to activate the approval process, and you can also do actions based on the approval and rejections. For example, if this position got approved, and then these are the actions you need to take. If this position got rejected, these are the actions you need to take. Okay, so all these things you can define it through the creation of the approval process. Okay, what actions you need to take, if the record will get locked, who will be able to make changes after the record has been locked. Okay, either the admin can be able to make changes, or some record owner will be able to, what all these things you need to answer when you're creating the approval process. Okay, so there are 2 ways of creating the approval process. One is using the jumpstart wizard, the other one is using the standard wizard. Okay, then you have to define, once a particular record, they will be defining an entry criteria, means which all records we even go through the approval process. You don't need to send every record to the approval process. If the salary is just $2,000 every month, you don't have to worry about if needs an approval from someone. If the salary is about $10,000 a month or 15,000, then you need to go through the entry criteria. So which all records do you even want them to in the approval process, and whatever you have to define the entry criteria. Once the record has been submitted for approval, the record is going to get locked. If it got rejected, it will be unlocked. After the particular record has been put into the locked status, who all will be able to make changes? All these things you need to worry. This is it's more complex, but you can do a lot more through the approval process than the workflow, because in the approval process you can also include your workflow actions, adding a time trigger, or adding a workflow action, adding an email alert, adding all those kind of things. Okay, so let's just see if we are able to do you want to do the workflow tomorrow, sorry, approval process tomorrow, or do you want me to go through and give you it, show you everything, or should we do it tomorrow? It's your call. Not now. Okay, you want to wrap it? Okay, any questions on today's, guys? Okay, good. Lata, anything? So we talked about email alerts and we talked about workflows. I know I haven't given you recording yet. I haven't got a chance. I'll try to do it today probably, so that you can go through it one more time. So we'll do the approval process probably next weekend then. Yeah. No, tomorrow is Monday, right? Yeah, so it'll be next weekend then. So we have approval processes and everything, and then we have reports, and then we have app exchange, which is not that big. Lata, there might be something wrong from Salesforce side as well. It's not something that might be wrong with your email address. Are you able to send email to your email address from someone else? You should be. So this happened with me once. Try to like delete the history of the browser or something like that, or change the browser. Probably it should work. If that email is an existing email, it will work fine. It happened with me once. Yeah. How about next week, 8 o'clock, guys? Will that work for you? Okay, so we'll meet next week, 8 o'clock. Okay, guys, have a good rest of the weekend. Bye.